Welcome back to Aether's Guide to Reality. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is a guide for the strange and bizarre anomalies that tweak the very nature of our worlds. If you've been following along, you'll know that we've explored some crazy monsters recently, and we're going to be continuing that trend today. We're going to be looking at Reality Modification 891647, known as the Evolved Cave Dweller. Here's a closer look at what this modification does. Reality Modification 891647, in the spirit of giving, gives you a whole new reason to be afraid of cave sounds. It is an evolution of Reality Modification 887201, the Cave Dweller, with a more animalistic appearance and a higher intelligence. While very similar to the original, the evolved version freezes when first looked at as opposed to immediately fleeing or charging. It remains motionless while being watched, but every tiny moment you break eye contact, it moves closer and closer until it initiates a chase. The Reality Modification's effect on reality primarily impacts caves, as this is where the Cave Dweller spawns. Much like other related entities, it is unclear whether the Cave Dweller is an individual entity or a solitary species, so more research will have to be done on this topic to find out for certain. The Cave Dweller also has many clones, in a way. The original Reality Modification sparked the evolution of many different subspecies, all with the same behavioral patterns but varying appearances. Some of these clones include Reality Modification 1013789, the original Goatman, which is essentially a slightly taller and more caprine version of the Cave Dweller, with massive horns and oversized teeth. This is not to be confused with Reality Modification 1013889's Goatman, which is much more goat-like and can even sometimes be mistaken for an actual goat. There are also Reality Modifications 1014038 and 1014015, the Nightmare and the Origin, which are almost identical to the evolved Cave Dweller, but with notable exposed bones in the arm, chest, and spinal areas. Similar to these two, there are also Reality Modifications 928086 and 1067019, the Corpse Stalker and Skin Stalker, the former looking like that, and the latter looking similar to a Wendigo, both looking like they had recently tried to practice kissing with a shotgun. While all of these clones behave almost identically to the evolved Cave Dweller, there are subtle differences in their behaviors from time to time, such as different running speeds, different levels of attack damage, etc. Despite the supposedly unique appearances of these monsters, many among the reality exploration community quickly became tired of these clones, especially given certain reality modifications such as 890565 and 940557, the Man from the Fog and the One Who Watches, were often misclassified as quote-unquote dwellers by less seasoned adventurers. These entities exhibit vastly different behaviors and should be studied separately and should not be referred to as the Night Dweller or any other misleading titles. Much like its not so closely related counterparts, Reality Modification 1084427, otherwise known as the Deep Dweller, despite its name, is not a true dweller. In fact, it is quite possibly the furthest thing from one, having an entirely different behavioral pattern and methods of attack. Anyway, moving back to the original topic, the evolved Cave Dweller's reality stability rating is high at an A+. It is highly stable with no recorded instances of reality collapse or corruption at all. Despite its dangerous nature, the modification integrates rather seamlessly with existing realities, newly created realities, and even some older realities, much like all of its counterparts. Its reality impact rating is moderate at a C+, and as mentioned previously, the reality modification greatly impacts the danger of caves, particularly without configuration tinkering, and thus has a moderate ranking. I personally have actually found it to be a fun challenge when the configuration is altered correctly, but extremely irritating when not done so. Now for some additional notes. Caution is advised when navigating realities with the Cave Dweller or any of its clones present. Many explorers report that avoiding the creature or coming prepared is the best way to counter its dangerous nature. I'd like to take the final moments of this episode to apologize, since I had originally requested that a frozen Cave Dweller specimen from one of my previous travels be brought to my office for me to show you, but there were complications. Regardless, I'll see what I can do for future episodes, and that will be all for today's entry. As always, I recommend approaching this reality modification with extreme caution and doing some tinkering with its configuration for maximum safety. If you've encountered any other monsters that you think might fit the Dweller archetype, let me know. I'd love to hear about your experiences, and who knows, you may be contributing knowledge nobody's ever documented before. Thank you again, and Merry Christmas to all who celebrate it.